Hey y'all, I'm Hummy and I'm going to go over my color blocking tutorial with you today. I do have this in written format and we're going to review the written format together first, and then we'll be going to Photoshop Elements and looking at some techniques in there. So color blocking is a technique that has long ago been popular in paper scrapbooking, also known as traditional scrapbooking. The effect is very easy to achieve in digital scrapbooking also. So what is color blocking? It is a technique whereby the blocks can be square or rectangular. They can be any size, go in any direction. So whereby these blocks of color, now the color can be paper of various colors, the photos themselves, text, elements, things like that. So blocks of color are put together to fill in all areas of the layout. So the whole page is made up of blocks, kind of like a puzzle all fitting together. They can get quite intricate or they can be really simple, and we're going to see that in a minute. Creating blocks to fill is a great way to make a quick layout that balances. For as much weight as you have on the right, you got to have on the left, as on the top as on the bottom. But when you have all areas filled in with the blocks, it's very easy to balance and have the weight the same. Before I share the skills with you in Photoshop Elements, we're going to look here in this tutorial at some examples so you can better understand how blocks can be put together and to inspire the creative flow going through your mind. So here is some examples, and this is of course, very basic. Simple method where all the blocks directly touch each other. Any block may be filled with a paper, solid or pattern, a photo, or a solid color with text on top of it, or an element on top of it. Very, very simple. All the blocks are touching each other, very easy to create. That's the basic. Then what you can do to enhance that is to create an overlay of lines which create blocks beneath. In this example, the white lines are an overlay. So it creates a border around it. So basically, same as this one up here, only now we have white lines and borders between it. In this case, the white lines are not an overlay. They are actually the background paper. So allowing the background paper to show through as the lines separating the blocks. In this method, the blocks are just smaller and spaced evenly, and in this way you can put drop shadows on the blocks. So again, very simple but yet different from this, where the blocks are touching each other. In this case, the blocks are not touching each other, and it just allows the background paper to show through. So there already are several techniques that you can use. In this method, you can also allow for mats or borders around the blocks. So you could put a stroke around the blocks as well as that drop shadow or a mat underneath them. Now here's where we get a little bit deeper into the color blocking, more than just the simple. After creating the background of blocks, place offset photos from the blocks in the background. Now this here, the background, is the same as, let's go this one right here. So you observe this one, but then watch where we stuck the photo, which is that white block there in the middle. This is something that I think I learned throughout my digital scrapbooking, which is a little artistic technique. It is to offset things. Don't keep them all squared up. I often will have mats in the background, even not on color blocking, and then purposefully offset something like this so that you see it's going partially onto the other blocks. Really creates depth and interest. Remember, when you're doing the color blocking, to utilize that rule of thirds. In this example, on a 12 by 12 background, the left block is 4 inches, which is 1/3, while the right block is 8 inches, which is 2/3. That's this black. And then once again the photo is offset. So this is a design principle that you can pull into and utilize on any of your layouts. You can see how this is such a simple layout here, but you wouldn't even think of it as color blocking, but yet it is. Great way to create a background basis for your layout is to use these principles of color blocking and then go ahead and build the rest of your layout around that. In this case, you could tuck flowers coming out of the photo or whatever, but you have a well-balanced layout. So using the color blocking principles and the rule of thirds can be great design principle use for the basis of your layouts. That's kind of what I'm trying to say. Okay, number 7, let your imagination be creative by creating any number of blocks in a variety of shapes. In this example, the black block is wide and thin. Note how the rule of thirds is applied in this example. So in this example, we have the bottom half is 2/3 of the layout. The top half is 1/3 of the layout. And this black block is actually a block, so you can make these blocks in any shape. And this gives you a great basis. Also in this layout, the rule of thirds is coming in because we have 3 blocks at the top and 3 blocks at the bottom. And there's something here I want to show you. I think that's the next point down here. Here is the same block almost, but what I want to show you is that you can visualize, I don't know if I'm going to explain this right, to break up equal areas into small blocks. In this example, this bottom right area is broken up into 3 small blocks equal to the area of the block above it. This would be a great place for 3 brads. And so we have this square here, and rather than putting another equal square below it, I've broken up that area into 3 blocks and made them equal distance to the edges of this top block. Does that make sense? Oh, I hope so. So that is one way you need to begin stretching your imagination when you're beginning to build these color blocks. Whoops. In this example below, in the bottom right area, is broken up into 2 smaller blocks equal to the area of the block below. In other words, we have this block here, but then instead of breaking it up into 3, I broke it up into 2, and I made the edges meet the edges of the block below. Really easy to do. It's actually just this block here repeated, and then I put a bar in the middle of it. And you'll see how to make those bars later. Placing blocks opposite each other to keep symmetry and balance is another way that you can place blocks. So how to block? Here is where we're going to go into Photoshop Elements and see how you can create these block templates and also to utilize them. So I have Photoshop Elements open here, and here is that basic block that we have. You can see each one of these squares is a different layer. And then up here, this layer is the line. And to fill these, I have some papers here. Let's just grab one. They're actually some of the first papers I ever created, because this is a very old tutorial, and I wasn't really good at creating papers. I'm still not that great at creating papers. So I made a duplicate of the paper layer, and this is the same as you would utilize all of the things in the template tutorial. So you can go back to the template tutorial and review the Control-G and the Control-J in using the template tutorial. That's what this is. This is a color blocking template. And so I'm going to turn on this paper, and then, well, it already applies because I've put it on the lowest block. Let's see what happens. Let's put it on a higher block. And so we put it above the block where we want it to go. And right now it's showing through everything that is below it. But then I'm just going to press Control-G to group it. And that's grouped with a gray one. So if I want, I can duplicate that again, put it with another gray one, Control-G. And then if I want, you know, I'm dragging this up here to the new layer icon to duplicate it, but I can just simply press Control-J and it duplicates it. Put it above another gray block in the layers palette, Control-G, and then let's see, go back and find the last one. Okay, there it is, Control-G. And then I might want to put my photos in the other ones, and I can also merge all of, we're going to look at that here in a minute, merge all of the lines together and put paper on those. And then I can put elements on top of these papers and photos in these, and whammo, you've got a layout. So you see how you can create these simple templates and color blocking and make layouts with them. Let's go ahead and make all of this invisible. And I'm going to go ahead, go all the way up to the top, and I'm going to create a new layer for us to begin working on, just making one of the other kind of color blocking templates. And this is not going to look like the tutorial because I have no idea what that one looks like. And we're just going to make something totally random and show you how you can just be inspired and go after this. Get your rectangular marquee tool. This is the way I prefer to do this. You can also use brushes. Let's go look at the brush method first. Activate your brush tool, and you would not want to use a round brush, because if you end your line short, you're going to have a round edge on the brush. In Photoshop Elements, there are some square brushes. So choose a square brush. Make sure it's a hard one. If you don't know whether or not it's hard, you can make it hard by right there. The hardness slider is grayed out. Yeah, so it's a hard brush. That's interesting. Okay, and then I can make my brush a little larger, whatever size I want the line. Hold down my Shift key and just drag a line. Now you can make a block that way. That works perfectly fine, and then you can continue on with the rest of the tutorial, but you can also make the lines using your rectangular marquee tool, and it just happens to be the method I think of first. I don't think one is better than the other. You might get more straight lines using the marquee tool. And so choose your width, just draw your line with the width you've chosen, and fill it with the paint bucket tool. You can also fill it using, I think it's Control Backspace, fills it with the background color, and I think Alt Backspace fills it with the foreground color. So you can use the keyboard shortcuts, or you can use the paint bucket tool and just fill it in. Control D to deselect. Now I have a basic line, and I'm going to utilize the grid for placement. Since this is a 12 by 12 page, this is what we were looking at earlier. You can count down. There would be 12 blocks here because I have my settings under Preferences and Grid set to every 1 inch, and the subdivisions for a ½ inch. That would be the little dotted lines you see, the subdivisions. So I know, because I'm relating to inches, and this is a 12-inch document, that there are 12 1-inch blocks going down. And so for rule of thirds, 12 divided by 3, I know that the top 4 give me a 1/3. And you see how that also, if you have Snap to Grid checked, it'll snap right into place for you. So what I'm going to do next is activate this line layer here, and you can drag it up to the new layer icon or just hit Control J to duplicate it. And I'm going to go ahead and create another line, and I think this one I'm going to put right here. I can create it again, and maybe this time I'm going to divide. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this one. I don't want to do this right now. My telephone is going off. I think the local news is instant messaging me. They do that to me every morning and tell me my weather. Let's take this line and rotate it, so now we can make vertical lines. The reason I'm duplicating it rather than making another line is so that the width of all the lines are exactly the same. I'm going to go up to Image, Rotate, and now, whoops, this first section is for rotating the entire layout, all layers, so we're not going to utilize that. This section is for rotating just the layer you are on, and I'm going to rotate this. It doesn't matter whether I do 90 degrees to the left or 90 degrees to the right. And now I have some vertical lines to work with. And so I'm going to place these also, I think, here, and then Control J. Put another one there, Control J, put another one there. Now you can see I'm beginning to get this color blocking thing going on. Let's say I decide I want another horizontal line. I'm just going to select one of them down here, Control J, and I'm going to put a horizontal line right here. Now let's say I want to create a larger area. I'm trying to decide. Let's say I want this one to be one large block. Well, I'm just going to grab that eraser tool, or, well, actually, and I would use the block to erase. Actually, I'm not going to do that. I think I'm going to do the rectangular marquee tool, and I'm going to zoom in and just select this part of the bar. Actually, I don't know which bar it is. I got to make sure I'm on the right layer. So I'm moving to the Move tool, select that bar so it goes to the right one in the layers palette. Then I'm going to get my marquee tool and just highlight this. Be careful to get it right up to the edge of this line. At this point you can actually use the nudge tools, which would be your arrows on your keyboard. See, I can nudge it to the left and nudge it to the right to get it right where I need it, and hit the delete key. And now when you move out, you're beginning to get some depth to this layout. Let's see, to do a little bit of balancing on this, I'm going to do my Move tool again and select this line. In fact, let's take off that grid. The grid is actually helping the selections also snap into place, not just the lines. But get my marquee tool. I think that moving it off, you're going to be able to see what I'm doing a little better. And I'm going to create a line. A selection. I'm going to zoom in, and you can see I'm a little bit over the line there. So I'm going to use my right arrow key to go right up to that line and hit delete on my keyboard. And now we've created yet another little area here. Now if I wanted, I can even begin making some more divisions in these lines. I'm going to, let's see, make sure my Move tool is the active tool. I've got one of these horizontal layers is the active layer. Control J to duplicate it, and what I'm going to do is actually move this to make a division in here like that. So you can take portions of lines and divide them such as this, and now see we have a square here that equals the size of the square here, and we have a square here that equals the size of the square here. So it's still a balanced blocking. And there goes my phone. There must be a lot of news going on this morning. Next time I record, I need to turn my phone down. So this shows you how you can, let's go ahead and what you want to do after you get all of these blocks created. I'm going to select the top block, hold down my Shift and my Control key, slide down until I see the bottom line, and then right click and choose Merge Layers. Now they are all one file. If I want, I can go, you see how this bounding box goes way out here? That's because of this line, which I moved over here and I left it outside of my layout. To get rid of it at this point, I can do image, crop, and that's not right. This is one of my quick tips. Control A, and then image, crop, and it's going to crop off that. Control D. That went outside of the line, or outside of the edge of the layout. So there's a color block. Here's one that I used in my tutorial down here. Okay, let's, I think that's one I used. That's one I think I created. Actually, let me just show you how this works using this one, and then we're going to look at the other layer. You can take this, now that it's all merged together, and actually cut it with a piece of paper or group it with a piece of paper. I have a piece of paper here, and it's above my template layer, and I'm just going to hit Control G, and now I have made that out of the paper. You know, of course, if I wanted, I could right click, merge down, and make that a permanent layer together, and thereafter add a drop shadow, or you can even just add I'm hitting undo to get it back to normal in case I need to use that paper again, or you can even just simply use some sort of layer style on there. Here's some Flurgs glitter, and so I can quickly make the lines into glitter or metal or whatever sort of layer style that you have. I actually have some new layer styles that are mine. That would be cool if I would have just used that to show you. Where are mine? The ones under here say hubby, and here's a couple of mine. This one is granite, and so that's actually the first layer style I ever made, and so that looks pretty cool, you can see. So let's turn that layer off. Where is it? Find it quickly by clicking on it. Make it invisible. Here is the one that was in my layout, and I've already merged it together with the paper. And here are some papers I'm going to utilize. Now, to fill each of these blocks in, it's really quite easy to do. I can use my magic wand tool, make sure that contiguous is checked, and just select an area of one of the blocks by clicking in. I'm on the wrong layer. I'm on my new color blocking, and so that's what happens when you're on the wrong layer. I always say about 90% of the errors you make are because you're on the wrong layer, so always, always, always check that first. And so now I'm going to go in here and just click, and you can see it made a selection of that block. Now I'm going to go make my paper layer the active layer, hit Control J, and I have filled that block because it made a new layer. And of course you're utilizing some of the skills that you've learned in Course 1 for this. Now I'm going to go back and make that color blocking template the active layer again. Just click out in the middle to select one of the other layers. I'm going to go back to my same paper because I want the same paper. Control J, and I filled that block. Now when you're doing photos, I'm going to go ahead and turn off those two blocks because I already have these layers here which are cut from each block that I did when I was making the tutorial. But when you're doing your photo layer, you're going to want to move your photo around and position it within that block exactly the portion that you want and how you want it to be aligned in that block, and then select the block and do the Control J to cut it. The other thing that you could do would be to select the area of the block, such as, let's see, get the magic wand tool, select, wrong layer, select the area of the block. I can create a new layer, fill it with the paint bucket tool, and use that as a template for my photo, because we know, let's go down, move this down to the photo, put your photo layer above the template you just made of that shape, and then hit Control G to group them together. Now this does give you, now my photo's already cut, you can imagine maybe it hasn't been cut and is sticking out beyond the lines. Now you can freely resize the and do whatever you want with that photo without messing up the original photo and then going back and changing it again. So I'm going to hit undo to put it back where it was. So here I'm going to some of the blocks I filled in my tutorial just by having leaving some of them as this background. And then here are all of the other pieces that I cut and filled in for my color blocking. And then I put some text in some of the blocking and journaling and threw the date up here. And there was my final layout as I did in the tutorial. And so you can see how color blocking looks in an example, not exactly the best example, but very easy to work with and to give yourself easy way to balance your layout and create some artistic flair. I have here some files that I'm giving you to download. They are in rectangular and in square, and these are simply PNG files that you can utilize just like I did this template over here. And so these are just some that I made. You can utilize to make layouts with by selecting the areas and cutting the paper with them as I showed you, or create your own. Want to see what you can do with all of this inspiration, and look forward to seeing some really great color blocking layouts. You know, take it much further than I took mine here. You know, if you want to tuck a little element, maybe a flower, so it's feels like it's underneath this this frame, you could do that. You can maybe I have seen hang a little rope from the frame so the tag is hanging down from the frame. I'm trying to think of some other little things to inspire you. You can clip things to the frame and let them hang down. Just so many things that you can do with color blocking. You got to let your mind travel and come up with some really creative things. Wind ribbon around one of the frame areas. I don't know. I'm going to look to see what you're going to do with the layouts, and please do share them right here in the forum thread, and have fun. Happy scrapping.